Alright, today I want to actually ask you guys questions, and it's about the subconscious mind and what we normally call a hunch. Because sometimes you and why we do what we do, why we think and have the opinions that we have. This is, of course, a topic that you could talk about for hours on end because it's we don't know enough about it. But a lot of there's a general advice out there, and that is to follow your hunch. Follow If you get a hunch, that is very often the right thing to do. And a hunch can be, I haven't looked up the dictionary definition of it, but it's like, as far as I see it, when you're faced with a choice or a challenge, you get this feeling inside you that you should do one or the other. That's what more or less a hunch is. And very often you don't know where this hunch is coming from. And we humans, we are generally afraid of the things that we don't understand. Like, we fear what we don't understand, which is a bit of a sad thing, because very often we reject it or we fear it, when what we should do is embrace it and learn from it. That's a sidetrack. Anyway, I'm now reading another version of Think and Grow Rich, and he says that a hunch, it can come from a variety of sources, but the known sources is infinite intelligence. Infinite intelligence is Napoleon Hill's way of saying, it's non-discriminating way of saying God, the universe, or a greater being, whatever you want to call it, he or she. If you want to call it God, call it God. If you want to call it the universe, call it the universe. But he says infinite intelligence. Anyway, you can get a hunch from infinite intelligence. You can get a hunch from your own subconscious mind, and through the subconscious mind of other people, or the mind of other people that recently comes into memory. But mainly it's like from the subconscious mind and infinite intelligence. And this might be a bit too spiritual for a lot of people out there, but there are a lot of things in this world that simply cannot be explained. Like, why did I get the hunch to do this, and then it happened just the way I thought it would. I had this dream, next day it happens. There's a lot of things we cannot explain, and hence we make up our own version of it. Like, we try, and I heard that most of us, when we make decisions, it is often based on way simpler reasons than we think. It's based on our primal needs of social recognition, reproduction. So what's three basic needs? It's social recognition, the need for sex, and the basic for food and power, etc. Food and power. Right now it slipped my mind, but anyway, is social status and reproduction so can be, a lot of our decisions can be backtraced to that. So back to the point, when we make a decision, we very often backtrack ourselves without knowing. You do something and then people are like, why did you do that? And you're like, if you try, okay, why did I do that? And then you come up with a reason for why you did that, which makes perfect sense for both you and this other person. So all you remember is this reason, because this happens automatically. It happens so fast, you don't even recognize that you actually did not know why you did what you did, but you make up an explanation, and then that becomes your reality, and that becomes the reality of the people around you, because we're getting pretty good at it. It makes sense, so why not? But when in fact we might not, the reason for why we do certain things might not be what we think they are. And that is it's food for thought, and it's a very interesting thing to throw out there. So I just want to ask you guys, when it comes to infinite intelligence, God, the universe, whatever you want to call it, do you think that there is a way for us to connect with something that is beyond our understanding? To me, this makes perfect sense because there's people that have come up with ideas, there's people that have done things that is very out of the ordinary. And I think, for me, I think Napoleon Hill is right that it makes sense that it comes from some outside source. So I want to ask you guys, what do you think? A lot of people think it's bullshit, and they say it's bullshit, and they ridicule the people who thinks that there's more to it. To you guys, I say you should be careful to judge something like this because it's very, how can I say this in a nice way, but it's very ignorant to actually condemn something that you can't possibly prove to be 100% true and to be wrong. It is easier to prove that it is true than that it's not. But anyway, that was it for today, and it was more, ended up being more like food for thought, and I hope you guys, it got you thinking. And these are very interesting topics. So if you want me to discuss some of them a bit more, feel free to drop a comment or ask me a private question. And I hope you guys have an amazing day, and remember to take one step towards your goal today, and I'll talk to you guys tomorrow.